I have the advantage now of being able to look across generations of naval service. Not only was I in for 12 years, but my father, my father-in-law, and now my son. I think back, this last year was the 70th anniversary of World War II. And I think of how the naval service has changed, and yet how it really hasn't changed in many ways. In World War II, we were 3.5 million sailors, 500,000 Marines. Now we're down to about 300,000 sailors and about 200,000 Marines. Our roles have changed, and yet there are those constants. The constants are the military tradition, the military dedication to service, our work ethic, and of course the sound-powered phone. Now, those of us who have had service in the military, we know and love the sound-powered phone. This is a device that's been around forever. It's not battery-powered. There's no electricity required. You could be flooding in the middle of a fire, and these things work. You rely on them as much as you rely on the Mark I eyeball. And yet, in the same way, the military traditions have served us from generation to generation. In my grandfather's Navy, we looked at a submarine fleet that decimated 30% of the Japanese Imperial Fleet and 60% of its merchant marine, although at a high cost of 22% of the submarine fleet perishing in that battle. I was lucky enough to serve in a time of relative peace, but one where a 22-year-old could be in charge of a 175-megawatt nuclear reactor. One where if you took my submarine and considered it to be a sovereign nation, would be the third most powerful nuclear nation on Earth at the time. It was a pretty heady responsibility, but it instilled in addition to self-sacrifice, a certain self-discipline that served me well throughout my years. 3 years ago, last week, in this very room, there were two pages, who were carrying that flag up to the rostrum. And one was my son, one was my seatmate's son. And I'm quick to point out that at the Marine Corps, my brothers in the Marine Corps, I do consider them to be in the naval service. He does, after all, report to the Chief of Naval Operations. And his son and mine share something very much in common, in addition to that 1 week where they served as pages. They're both in Navy ROTC right now. Ty went to University of San Diego, my son went to MIT, but starting yet another generation of service to our military, to our country, to defend our freedoms every day. And these traditions of service, I believe, serve us all well. Individually, I think I've benefited greatly, and I have a new appreciation for the freedoms that we enjoy as a people, because ultimately they are not free. So as we look upon yet another year of proud traditions of the military service, and particularly of the Navy, I'm proud of the dedication to service that I see in this body today. When I first arrived down here at the legislature, I was warmed by the feeling of knowing that over a third of my caucus were veterans. This dedication to service is something that pervades everything about government service as well, and I think those traditions carry on. Thank you for bringing this resolution before us today, and I give it my wholehearted support.